Hi, it's Angel Shaver, Stampin' Up Independent Demostrator from Kansas, and I'm here today for week 2 of our featured stamp set in April. We are using the Trusty Tools stamp set, and we will be creating not only with the stamps and dies from the tool set, but also using a Stampin' Up tool that tied for first in my poll of which is your favorite Stampin' Up tool. So I'm going to point you down and then we will get started creating. Just making sure that I can see what you're seeing. Okay. The tool we are featuring today is the paper trimmer. Now we're actually going to be using both tools that tied for first. But this is the week that I'm choosing to focus on some of the great things the paper trimmer can do. I know one of the things that it's already done is cut apart a whole lot of the paper pieces that we will be using in today's card. So let me pull it down here, and I'll try to scoot some of my other things out of the way so that the paper trimmer can be the star of the show. Okay, when you get your Stampin' Up paper trimmer, some of the things I love about it are that it has both a cutting blade, which is dark, and the scoring blade, which is lighter. It also has measurements in centimeters and in inches to the 16th of an inch, which is really pretty cool and makes it easy to create a close layered framed image like we're going to do today. I have already cut a bunch of half-inch strips from Designer Series paper that we will be using. And I've already cut a piece of cardstock in half, an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock in half vertically, which makes it 4.25 by 11, and then I will move the cutting blade out of the way, and we are going to score this. I'm actually going to flip it so that I have the part that goes all the way to 6 inches on the ruler down here by me. We're going to score it at 5.5 inches. And the scoring blade is the lighter one. And that makes our card base, so we'll put it over there. I have a 4 by 5.25 piece of white cut for the inside. And this is a piece of Designer Series paper. I believe it's cut 2.5 by 3. Yeah. We're going to use the cutter on this. Now, your Take Your Pick tool also has an X-Acto blade attachment you could use if you want. But I'm going to line this up. And I'm hoping to only cut some little digits in the gray part of this toolbox paper, and you will see why after a bit. I don't want to cut it all the way. I don't want to cut it off, so I'm only wanting to make a cut just a little bit in the gray. And then we have our pieces cut for our frame. We have a basic white that we will be scoring here in a minute. And then we have the crushed curry yellow and the gray granite gray that are 1/8 of an inch bigger than each layer, is 1/8 of an inch bigger than the layer in front of it. So we will be gluing all those together. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make score marks on this every inch. This is how we're going to create our cross lace, double lace. I don't remember if that's exactly what it's called, but something like that, with our designer series paper. And these score lines are actually just giving you the image of how to lay your papers. So every inch, 1 inch through 5 inches. I'm going to put this aside for now, and I'm going to start layering all of my strips of paper. These were cut 1/2 inch by 12. I just cut a 1/2 inch off the edge of a 12 by 12 paper each time. So we're going to start by laying them from score line to score line, or from edge to edge diagonally, and alternating patterns. So I'm just going to put some glue right there where I plan to lay it. And then I'm laying that right there. Good thing I have my handy dandy little cloth to clean up my glass mat. And I'm just alternating between the yellow ruler and the Lost Lagoon paper with screws, different types of screws. These are screws, nuts, and screws. And this last one it only goes up to about the halfway mark. It's a smaller little edge. Okay. Now, I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and we're going to trim those off and do it again. Strips. I didn't get it quite close enough, so I'm sliding it over just a little bit more. And then we will do the end and then the other side. And finally the top. And now we are ready to put the strips going diagonally the other way. Okay. So I'll start with the screw paper right here. And then we have the ruler. And we just keep alternating back and forth between the two patterns. Okay, now it's time to pull the paper trimmer back over. Pick up some of that glue. And we're going to do the same thing. My little scraps. Okay. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. We're just going to line that up along the edge and just trim that way so that I have a nice flat surface to lay this direction to cut all those off. Alright, and there is the final product. We made that double ribbon, double twisted ribbon element using only really the paper trimmer as our only tool. Now we're going to pull out the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine because I need to cut out some of these tools that were in the Designer Series paper. I have 4 tool frames that match the patterns in the Designer Series paper exactly. So we're going to line them up and attach the frames with some washi tape and then send them through. Let's see if I can flip. This is, well, we'll line them up where you can see, and then I'll move the machine back. We have the tape measure, image, and frame. And so I just will tape, attach that with the washi tape. Do it. I'm having a little trouble with this. I might need to attach it directly to the cutting plate that it's going to go through with. That's the top. Here's the bottom one. Because I think my washi is going to have to attach to the cutting plate. Didn't leave myself enough room. Okay, and then we have the hammer and the pencil. Do them right like that. And we'll have to send the wrench through on the second time. There's the hammer. And I may need to wait to do the pencil the second time through. Let's see. Yeah, that gets too close. So I will move this back over here and getting it set up ready to go through. And here we go. Being a little persnickety today. All right, there we go. Okay, and here we have trash, and I'm going to remove this washi tape slowly and at a diagonal. There is the tape measure. And the same thing, slowly and at angle. There is our hammer. And then I'm going to get this set up with our last two tools, the pencil and the crescent wrench. Grab my washi tape. We'll see how this turns out. I'm not entirely sure. I've never actually used this die before. Okay. And then we put the cut and emboss back up and get them all ready to go on through. pencil. And the crescent wrench. All right. Now we are going to do a little bit of stamping of the inside of the card and also the sentiment. Trying to see where my sentiment paper went. And then we're not done with the cut and emboss. I just realized I intend to use it to cut out the sentiment label after I stamp it. So I'm using Lost Lagoon ink for the sentiment, for the words. And when you open these, you open just like a compact and then slide it in. Grab my block. And I will be stamping the word Dad on the front of this. Okay. And then I'm going to clean it off with my chamois. That chamois is a miracle. That's all I have to say about that. And for the inside of the card, we are stamping Happy Father's Day. I don't like that. That's why it's good to have the peach paper. Each piece of paper has two sides. So if you're not happy with the first try, you just flip it over and do it again. That's better. And then we're going to close up the Lost Lagoon ink and open up the gray granite. So I'm just going to stamp. If I can find the stamp, I laid it out, but it ran away. Oh, here it is. It is screws and bolts. Just gonna stamp a few around here on this. Put that aside, close this up, clean off my stamp, and then we're going to pull this Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back out. Oops. Putting this little die on there affixed to the label, and I need to grab my washi tape so that it stays where I'd like it to. Send it through. And then we're going to put the card together. There are also these fun little holes that it popped out of there for us as well. But we're going to get started by putting the inside, gluing it to the inside of the card. And now we're going to work on the outside of the card. But the first thing we're going to do with that is create our framed double twisted ribbon layer. And so I'm going to put glue on the back of my crushed curry and affix it to the gray granite. And there should be about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. That's why I like the liquid glue. It gives me a minute to adjust before it sticks down. Okay. And then same thing, I'm going to put on our double twisted ribbon, and it's approximately 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more, because we trimmed it as we got the ribbons done. And then we're going to put glue on the gray part and attach it to the front of our card. Figuring out how I want all this on here. I'm going to want some dimensionals on this side right here to give a little bit of thickness there already is with our layered up embellishment over here. have never been a big fan of getting the backing off dimensionals, but the little spatula part attachment that goes on your take your pick tool does a really good job for me. If I can get it started. Okay. I'm gonna just attach that there. Maybe put a little bit of glue, a little bit on this side to keep it down. Has a little more than a little bit, but that's all right. And then just attaching this to the front of the toolbox just by gluing it at the top. So that's Dad's toolbox. Now we have the tools to figure out what to do with. We have a hammer, a crescent wrench, and a pencil. Yeah. Means I may want the hammer down here because it's the same color, and we'll stick the crescent wrench in the middle drawer and pop our tape measure up here on top. Okay. So I'm just going to add some glue to the top of my tool. I wouldn't have to even glue them at all, but I don't really want them to move around. So, sliding it in there. Maybe a little bit further. And then we have the pencil. And the tape measure. Peeking out of the top there, and we'll put a dimensional on the back of the tape measure. The backing was already coming off, and stick it right up here, and then we're going to finish this card off with some little cork rounds. I'm going to use my putty tip on my take your pick tool. Try to just pick that up. Oops, that did not work out so well. Get some new putty. I'm going to just add them randomly on my card for decoration. The putty is actually eating part of the cork. So we'll go back to using my spatula tool and just pick it up and set it down. Kind of making drawer pulls is what I'm doing here. The wrench is hiding one, the hammer is hiding one. So we would need one more cork round. Actually, we're going to do a couple of different ones. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to put one right there in the middle of our double ribbon. I always want to put an odd number. So there we have it. There is our trusty tools card for the day, where we made some great embellishments focusing on using the paper trimmer. And there's the inside.